Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. I'm looking today at paper 1 from the November 2020 exam. I'm just going to pause or get you to pause if you've not had if you've not seen this particular extract or had access to it. You can have a read through it. Quite a good one, this, quite liked it. So I'll just show you the thing. You can pause as is appropriate to you so you can read it. And there. Okay, so we had this kind of short, slightly spooky story, and I thought this was quite a nice one in terms of it's kind of a more engaging story too, for you guys to maybe get a bit more interest in. I don't know. I'm old and ancient, but I thought it was interesting. Okay, so your question we're looking at today, language question, and we're thinking about how is the language used to describe the garden. And again, there's quite a few different things that we could look at. We could think about the adjective unfamiliar. We could think about, you know, the noun phrase overgrown mess. We could look at the idea of that pre-modifier, that adjective, the ancient mulberry tree. And then we get on this sort of detailed description of this, the massive twisted branches, but they drooped to the ground, so we've got that verb drooped. And then we get this metaphor of its knuckles in the earth, followed by the simile of like a gigantic malformed hand, which I quite liked. And really you've got this extended metaphor, or really more an extended motif or image of hands, which is also, so you've also got this sense of personification in this here with the tree. You've got the alliterative phrase there, the gnarled growth, and then you've got this idea of, you know, the ivy growing up it, choking it. So you've also got this kind of metaphorical or personifying image of the idea here through that verb choking. Of it, kind of this tree being kind of consumed by the weeds. So there's lots of different things you could look at. I'm going to show you an example of a grade 9 sort of response. Now this isn't a full response. This to me would be half a response. What I would do is encourage you, once I've shown you mine, to have a look at these examples and have a go at doing a version of your own. Okay, so I am starting my response as I always do with the sense of the writer uses. I think just getting this phrase at the start is really helpful in focusing on the idea of the writer crafting something for a particular purpose. So I'm talking about the writer uses detailed imagery to suggest the garden is not only overgrown but in some ways has an almost magical supernatural presence. So it's really this bit that is I'm also going to highlight in this what makes this grade 9. You know, I could have said they use the imagery to show the garden is overgrown, but I'm interpreting it a bit longer. I'm seeing something not everyone else would necessarily, which is that it's got a slightly unusual, almost sort of mystical kind of quality to it. So there's lots of things I could focus in on. I could look at the weeds, I could look at the fact it's overgrown, but to me the key thing that's zoomed in on in this description is the mulberry tree. That's the focus of the garden. And so although this isn't a structure question, it's worth thinking about what's the thing that the writer mostly focuses on, because that's probably going to be more important. So the mulberry tree is pre-modified. Pre-modifiers is a bit of an A-level-y word. It just means you can have pre and post modification. It just means to modify is to change something. So if it comes before the noun, the adjective comes before it, it's an example of pre-modification. If it came after it, say it said the mulberry tree was ancient, it would be post modification. So it's just a by the by. So the mulberry tree is pre-modified with the adjective ancient, which gives it a dominance, an almost wise authority. So we've got here my methods. Sorry, I'm highlighting everything. I didn't intend to. Which gives it a dominance and almost wise authority. So this is my kind of next. I'm just going to put kind of grade 9 or G9 next to this. And I think it's always about trying to not just say one thing, but try and go and push yourself, say a bit more about it. And that's exactly what I kind of go on to do here by saying this is developed through the extended metaphor, I could have said motif or image here, of a hand, its knuckles and gigantic malformed hand help to personify the tree and make it sound huge, but also tired. So I've got more methods, and I've got, you know, at grade 9 they want to see kind of judicious, well chosen examples, small quotes clustered together, little patterns of them that work together. But also tired. So I've, you know, not saying just one thing, trying to push on and say a bit something else. And then we've got more methods, verbs such as drooped and alliterative noun phrases such as gnarled growth evoke an image of an elderly wizened tree, one which is stooped like a very old person. So again, I could have just finished here, it would still be good, it would still be kind of grade 7, but the fact that I make that an analogy and sort of link it into it being a person, I could have even pushed more and said makes it feel frail, makes it take on, you know, the human nature of it, makes us feel sorry for it. So I could have pushed my effects even more there, to be honest. The tree takes on vulnerability when we read that the ivy was choking it. This verb implies that the weeds were pervasive and were robbing the ancient tree of its very life. So again, I've got this kind of moving into the sort of the grade 9 sort of quality here, and I just kind of ran out of room, honestly, but I would have liked to do a bit more here in terms of effects then on us as readers. We feel sorry for it, we feel that in this environment its wisdom is unappreciated and more destructive forces are taking over it. You could push that as far as you like. So takeaways around this. So as I say, I would expect to see about double this in a student's response in an exam for a full 8 marks. But the takeaways are, yes, you need methods, but what you and judicious examples. What we're really looking for is, can you kind of prioritise the more interesting bits to talk about, and can you interpret and analyse the effects of that language in really interesting ways? Okay, thanks for watching.